Richard Blackwood had everything money could buy: a sprawling mansion, luxury cars, and a business empire worth millions. But his greatest treasure was 7-year-old Emily, his daughter from his first marriage. When cancer took his beloved wife, Sarah, 3 years ago, Richard thought he'd never love again. Then he met Victoria Sterling at a charity gala. Victoria was stunning, elegant, and seemed perfect. She swept Richard off his feet with her charm and sophistication. Within 6 months, they were married in a lavish ceremony that made headlines. Emily tried to tell her father about Victoria's cold stares and harsh words when he wasn't around, but Richard dismissed it as adjustment difficulties. "She just needs time to get used to having a new mommy," he'd say, kissing Emily's worried face. The household staff, especially Maria the maid, noticed troubling signs. Victoria never spoke to Emily unless Richard was present. She'd find excuses to leave rooms when Emily entered. During family photos, Victoria's smile would freeze when the camera wasn't clicking. But Richard, blinded by what he thought was love, couldn't see the truth. Maria had worked for the family since Emily was born. She'd helped Sarah through her illness and watched Richard struggle with grief. Now she watched helplessly as Victoria's mask began slipping. The new Mrs. Blackwood would grab Emily's wrist too tightly when correcting her, speak in harsh whispers that left the child trembling, and conveniently forget to include Emily in family plans. The warning signs were everywhere, building toward something terrible. Emily grew quieter, more withdrawn. She started having nightmares and clinging to Maria instead of seeking comfort from her new stepmother. But Richard remained oblivious, working longer hours and missing the growing tension in his own home. He trusted Victoria completely, never suspecting that beneath her perfect exterior lurked a heart filled with jealousy and cruelty toward the innocent child, who reminded her daily that she wasn't Richard's first choice. The August heat was unbearable that Tuesday afternoon. Richard had left early for an important business meeting across town, kissing Emily goodbye and reminding Victoria about picking her up from summer camp. "I'll be back by 6, he promised, unaware this would be the longest day of his life. Victoria waited until Richard's car disappeared before her expression changed completely. The loving stepmother act vanished, replaced by cold calculation. She'd been planning this for weeks, waiting for the perfect opportunity. Emily represented everything Victoria hated: Richard's past, his unconditional love for someone else, and the constant reminder that she'd never truly have his whole heart. At 3 o'clock, Victoria drove to the summer camp with Emily's overnight bag. "Daddy said we're going on a special trip," she lied smoothly to the camp counselors. Emily, excited about the surprise, climbed happily into the back seat of the black Mercedes. She chatted about her day, showing Victoria drawings she'd made, desperate for approval from the woman she'd tried so hard to love. Victoria drove in silence, her knuckles white on the steering wheel. She pulled into the mansion's circular driveway and parked directly under the blazing sun. The car's black exterior absorbed the heat like an oven. "Stay here for just a minute, sweetie," Victoria said, her voice sickeningly sweet. "Mommy needs to get something from inside." Emily nodded obediently, still clutching her drawings. She watched Victoria walk toward the house, designer heels clicking on the stone path. The car doors locked with an electronic beep. At first, Emily thought nothing of it. Maybe Victoria was protecting her from strangers. But minutes passed, then more minutes. The car grew hotter. Emily called out, then knocked on the windows. Her voice grew panicked as she realized she was trapped. Inside the mansion, Victoria poured herself a glass of wine and checked her watch. She'd calculated everything perfectly. Richard wouldn't return for hours. The staff had the afternoon off except for Maria, who was doing laundry in the basement. By the time anyone found Emily, it would look like a tragic accident, a forgetful stepmother's terrible mistake. The temperature inside the car climbed rapidly. Emily's yellow sundress stuck to her skin as sweat poured down her face. She pressed her small palms against the hot glass, leaving desperate handprints as she called for help. Her throat grew raw from screaming. "Victoria, please, I'm scared." But her cries seemed to disappear into the oppressive heat. In the basement laundry room, Maria folded the last of Richard's shirts when she heard something, a faint thumping sound from outside. She paused, listening carefully. There it was again. Dropping the laundry basket, she hurried upstairs and stepped onto the front porch. Her blood turned to ice when she saw Emily's terrified face behind the car window. Dios mío! Maria gasped, running toward the Mercedes. She yanked the door handle, locked. Emily was sobbing now, her face flushed dangerously red. The child's lips were moving, but Maria could barely hear her weakened voice through the glass. Hold on, Mija. Hold on. Maria screamed, pounding her fists against the window. Racing toward the house, Maria burst through the front door. Senora Victoria. The keys. Where are the car keys? She searched frantically through the kitchen, the living room, calling out desperately. Victoria finally appeared at the top of the grand staircase, moving with infuriating slowness. What's all the noise about? Victoria asked, examining her manicured nails with deliberate indifference. Emily is locked in the car. She can't breathe. Give me the keys. Maria's voice cracked with panic. Victoria's eyes flickered with something cold and satisfied. Oh my, how careless of me. I'm sure I left them somewhere around here. She began searching with maddening slowness, opening drawers and looking in places where keys obviously wouldn't be. Outside, Emily had stopped banging on the windows. Her movements grew sluggish as heat exhaustion set in. Maria ran back to the car, her heart breaking at the sight of the little girl's drooping head. Without hesitation, she began slamming her bare hands against the reinforced glass, splitting her knuckles open. Blood streaked the window, but it held firm. Please, God, she whispered through tears. Don't let this baby die. Richard Silver Bentley roared into the driveway 40 minutes early. His meeting had ended quickly, and he decided to surprise Emily with ice cream. The scene that greeted him would haunt his nightmares forever. Maria, covered in blood, desperately attacking his car window while his daughter lay motionless inside. Emily. Richard's business suit tore as he threw himself at the car. His daughter's face was alarmingly pale, her breathing shallow. Rage and terror consumed him as he grabbed Maria's bloody shoulders. What happened? Where are the keys? She took them inside. Maria sobbed, her hands shredded and useless. She won't give them to me. Emily's been in there almost an hour. Richard spun toward the house, his voice thundering. Victoria, get out here now. But precious seconds were ticking away, and Emily wasn't moving anymore. Maria stumbled toward the garden, returning with a jagged rock the size of a softball. The insurance, the car. Richard started to protest. Forget the damn car. Maria screamed, raising the rock above her head. The first impact spiderwebbed the glass. The second strike sent shards flying. On the third hit, the window exploded inward. Maria reached through the razor-sharp opening, ignoring the fresh cuts on her arms, and unlocked the door. Emily's small body was burning with fever as Maria pulled her free. The child's breathing was rapid and weak, but she was alive. Richard cradled his daughter, while Maria applied pressure to Emily's pulse points, trying to cool her down. Slowly, Emily's eyes fluttered open. Daddy? She whispered hoarsely. She left me. She said I wasn't her real daughter. She said you'd be happier without me. The pieces crashed together in Richard's mind. This wasn't an accident. This was attempted murder. Victoria finally emerged from the house, her face a mask of fake concern. Oh my goodness, what happened? I was upstairs taking a shower and... Stop lying. Richard's voice was deadly quiet. Emily told me what you said to her. Victoria's mask slipped for just a moment, revealing the cold hatred beneath. She's delirious from the heat. You can't believe anything she's saying right now. But Richard was already walking toward the house, carrying Emily, with Maria beside him. We're going to watch the security footage. All of it. In Richard's study, the three of them sat before the large monitor while the security system revealed Victoria's crime in crystal clear detail. The cameras captured everything. Victoria deliberately parking in the sun, locking Emily inside, then calmly walking into the house. The timestamp showed she'd waited exactly 1 hour and 7 minutes before even acknowledging Maria's desperate pleas for help. The footage showed Victoria searching for keys she already had in her purse, moving with calculated slowness, while a child suffered mere feet away. Most damning of all, One camera caught her checking her watch and smiling while Maria bled herself, trying to save Emily. "You planned this," Richard whispered, his voice shaking with rage. "You tried to kill my daughter." Victoria's composure finally cracked completely. "She ruined everything," she screamed. "You were supposed to be mine. But every day it was Emily this, Emily that. You loved a dead woman's child more than your own wife." Emily, now wrapped in Maria's gentle arms, looked up at the woman who tried to murder her. "I just wanted you to love me too," she whispered, her innocent words cutting deeper than any accusation. Victoria's face twisted with fury. "Love you? You're nothing but a spoiled little brat who stands between me and what should be mine." Richard pulled out his phone. "I'm calling the police. Attempted murder, child endangerment, and whatever else they can throw at you." "Wait," Victoria sneered. "You'll never prove intent. I'll say it was an accident. My word against a child's and a servant's." Richard smiled grimly. "The security footage shows premeditation. The timestamps prove deliberate delay. Your own words just now were recorded." He gestured to his phone, which had been recording since they entered the study. As sirens wailed in the distance, Richard knelt beside Maria and Emily. The maid's bandaged hand still trembled, but her eyes were fierce with protective love. "Maria," Richard said softly, "I owe you everything. You saved my daughter's life when I failed to protect her." "She is my family too," Maria replied simply. "I would die before letting harm come to her." Emily reached up, touching both their faces. "Can we stay together forever? Just the three of us?" Richard looked at the woman who'd raised his daughter with more love than her biological stepmother had ever shown. "Forever," he promised. Outside, police cars filled the driveway as Victoria was led away in handcuffs. The mansion felt different now, cleaner somehow, as if a poison had been drawn from its walls. True family, Richard realized, wasn't about blood or marriage certificates. It was about the love that made someone willing to bleed for another's safety, to sacrifice everything for a child's life. In Maria's arms, Emily finally felt safe again, surrounded by the only family that had ever truly mattered.